Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about a new rod that I have, and it is the Oni-style Coco 290. Now, it was good timing. This is Friday, so this video is going to be out tomorrow. And Tom Davis of Teton Tenkara put out a write-up and a video on this. Actually, I saw it this morning in Tenkara Angler. So I'm going to do this video a little bit different. I'm actually going to talk about my opinion and review of the rod up front, and then the second half of the video will actually be me fishing a freestone, kind of a high gradient pocket water. Quite the contrast, I guess, to where Tom was fishing his in his video. To really, it will highlight the versatility of this rod. Tom was fishing kind of a low water, clear, lower gradient stream for nice brown trout. He caught up to about a 15-inch brown trout on this little rod. I caught some really healthy rainbows. They weren't that big, most of them anyways. I think my biggest one might have been in that 14-inch range, but a lot of current. And the reason I bring that up is because this little rod handles those fish in both situations easily. I was using a beadhead, small beadhead, and he was using mostly unweighted flies from what I saw. So we were both using number 3 lines. Mine was 9 foot, his was 8 foot. I also had 6X tippet. And I thought really hard about this on how to compare and how to describe this rod. Tom did have the specifications for it, so he measured it at 10.5 pennies, which doesn't sound like much. But because of the flexible tip, it really skews the math when coming up with the pennies as well as the rod flex index. Now, when you look at his article in the table for the rod flex index, it's right next to the Dragontail Foxfire. And I can tell you, fishing them side by side, these two rods are nothing alike. So again, the numbers are what the numbers are, but they can be misleading. Specifically with highly tip flex rods. And that brings me to two rods that I was thinking about comparing it to, or kind of comparing and contrasting. And you'll notice I have an earplug in mine because I lost the tip plug the very first time out of the truck. So that's why that's there, so I don't do anything stupid to it. But I have 3 rods here that I'm going to compare and talk about a little bit with the Oni, obviously the powder blue. I've got the Kurani HM30R, which is almost identical length to the Oni. It's about 1.5 inches difference, both around 9.5 feet. And then this, I have the Traveler 27. What's interesting is I'm comparing the Tenkara rod from Oni, is the Traveler 27 is a Keiru rod, and the Kurani is a Seiru rod. And yet, out of all the rods that I have, these are the 2 that kind of came to mind as far as using them to compare the Oni rod to. And a couple of reasons. One is they're similar length, especially the Kurani, but also, surprisingly enough, this Oni Tenkara rod is, the Kurani is known for being just feather light. This thing is like 0.9 ounces. And the Oni-style Coco 290 is, on my scale, 1 gram heavier. So just under, and Tom's measurements were also about 0.95 ounces. So it is extremely light. It's also more tip flex by far than the other Oni rods if you're used to the type 1, 2, or 3 or Itoshiro. This is definitely more tip flex than those. He advertises it as a 7.3 rod. The RFI measurements bring it out at like a 5.5 moderate flex, but it's not. Again, apples to oranges, even though on the chart it comes out right next to the Dragontail Foxfire. It is much more tip flex. It's not as tip flex as the Kurani, and it doesn't feel as fragile or as limited in its capability as the Kurani, although I've said before the Kurani rods have more backbone again than the rating, the penny rating would indicate. So although it comes out at 10.5 pennies, don't think of it as a 10.5 penny rod. It does a lot better than that, as indicated from, you know, Tom's 15-inch brown and the high current and healthy rainbows that I was catching mine in, and never felt concerned about the rod being able to handle them. So, and I also have the 27, the Traveler 27. Again, it's in between. It's more tip flex than the 27, not quite as tip flex, and definitely not as a thin of a tip as the current eye. The rod handles, you can see, so the 27 here on the left is thicker. It's about the same as the, and I probably can't see with my mitts in the way, but the Oni and the 27 are similar diameter. The HMR 30R is definitely thinner in the grip, and that's one thing that Tom talked about. You know, he's got big oven mitts for hands, and so the narrow grip isn't always comfortable for folks like that. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. I don't have big hands, you know, and I'm accustomed to fishing with rods, those small rods like that. So I have no problem with it. It's not uncomfortable for me all day long, and quite enjoyable on these small rods. So one thing before I continue here, I just wanted to quote one thing, and I'm going to put a link to Tom's video and write up on Tenkara Angler in the video description. And I'll just read one thing from his. Actually, it says he's convinced that time will prove it as one of the best small stream Tenkara rods ever produced. Those are pretty strong words coming from a man like Tom Davis, who has fished many Tenkara rods. And I knew at the time, I resisted buying it originally, and I'm like, this is weird. It doesn't fit the Oni, you know, Type 1, Type 2, Type 3 Itoshiro mold, if you will, with the foam handles or bamboo handles and the very soft 5.5 demeanor to them. But once I kind of got a preview or highlights of some of the opinions of this rod, and I decided I had to have one, and I'm glad I did. It's aside from being blue, which is my favorite color, and being Oni-style, or named after my dog. Just kidding. But it really is a great small stream rod. I was surprised, I guess, at the feel of it being more tip flex. It just didn't feel like when you think of an Oni rod, but it still casts extremely well, and Tom notes that as well. You know, it casts like a dream, to quote Tom. And he and I, you know, traded some emails about this early on, and I was struggling having a way to describe it. But it is a crisp action. It's not overly tip flex or stiff. You can throw very tight loops with it. It does, you know, it almost begs for, you know, a little more crisp action than if you had, you know, other rods that might be more full flex or softer. But it's not. It doesn't require much effort. The tip does all the work, but it's just a joy to fish in these small streams. But I was taken aback, and you'll see it in the first fish I catch in my video, that it was a nice, you know, 14-inch healthy rainbow trout in high current. I did let it go downstream on me just a little bit, just because it was my first fish, and I didn't, you know, I wasn't accustomed to the rod yet, and, you know, didn't know how it would respond, and, you know, didn't want to try to horse it in. Strong current, like I said, on this little freestone, as you'll see. But when I got done, I was like, wow, that handled it too easy compared to what I thought. Like and I have fished this same stream with the HM30R, and there was a few times it's like, you know, please don't blow up on me on similar situations. And so it's strong like the 27 is why I picked the Traveler 27 in similar handle size, but it's a little more tip flex in the lightness of it of the HM30R. So I wholeheartedly agree, spoiler alert, with Tom that it's probably going to be one of the best small stream rods you know, that ever produced, as Tom put it. I can't think of anything on the rod rack that I have. There's some that are very niche, you know, very small fish, or maybe better for nymphing or and so on. But this rod, I did fish it with unweighted flies as well after, not in this video. Actually, my SD card, my memory card was full. So I fished it for a while longer without video, and I fished it later on in the day with some more video that I'll show later on. But I can't really say enough good things about this rod, and highly encourage you to go, you know, don't take my word for it. Go read Tom's review and watch his video as well. But in mine, I was nymphing small bead heads. It was faster water, and I was trying to hit some of the little bit deeper pools. Again, I did fish unweighted off video a little bit later, but Tom was fishing unweighted flies for the most part, at least the sections I saw. So his traditional casting, whereas I was more lobbing, which isn't always a good evaluation when you're throwing a bead head. But I was very impressed that it handled big fish, or not big fish, but modest fish with ease, and yet small fish. You know, I didn't launch any. It's not that stiff, but I never felt either overpowering on small fish, and I didn't feel you know, undergunned on good fish in fast current. So hope you enjoy the video. Let me know what you think. If you have this rod or have any questions, put them in the comments below. Appreciate you watching.
All right, so I'm in the parking lot. I've got rigged up, and I've got a brand new rod here. This is the Oni-style Coco 290, and I've got about 9 foot of level line number 3 and some 6X tippet, and starting out with a tungsten surveyor. And see, I've got Oni with me, so if you hear me screaming Oni, it's not for the Oni rod, it's for my dog. He probably won't stay close enough to me for my liking, so we'll see what we can do. Hopefully it won't be too much of a hassle. All right, so I'm gonna cross the stream here. The bridge up above me is still out from the flooding, and there are actually some people there working on it now. So I'm gonna try a couple soft edges here before I drag the dog across the water here, and see if we can catch something to start off. I've got no measurements or anything on this rod. I know Tom Davis has one, and he's going to be doing some sort of review and measurements on it. But it's got a very flexible tip, I can feel. Casts very easily, you know, of course with this small bead head on it. There's one. Oh, went downhill. Oh, downstream. Oh, that's a nice one. Oh yeah, colorful. Got a good bend on the rod. Oh, that's a really nice rainbow, I think. Oh, don't go down that one too. Oh, it is. Oni, stay. Oh, wow. That's one of the better fish I've ever caught out of here. Let's get a look at it. Hook already came out. That's a really nice fish. Well, that's a good way to christen this new rod. I'll be darned. Handled it with no problem whatsoever. It bent, but it did not feel undergunned at all, even in the current when it was running downstream. That was a good pool where I landed it, but I probably stunk it up. There's one, little one. Yeah, I had to fly too deep earlier. It was bouncing off the bottom. No, Oni. No, buddy. No. It's a nice little rainbow. Colorful. There we go. He likes checking out the fish, don't you? Yeah, it's a good boy. Come here. Get back. Stay here. Good boy. He's been doing really good bird hunting lately, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done any fishing in so long. There's one. Little guy. Oni! That looks like a little brookie. It is. Yeah, what do we got, buddy? That's a pretty little fish there. That's a real pretty little fish. Look at the colors on that thing. Got its fall colors going on. Yeah, buddy, what do you think about that? There's one. Oh, that's a little better one than the last one, that's for sure. Oh, get up here. Get away from that. I don't want to stink up that hole down below. Oop, that's a fat little rainbow. Plump, holy cow. He's got a big old belly on him. Look at the chunker on that. Look at the belly. Nice. Well, they've been eating good, getting ready for wintertime here. Feels like it'd be fabulous. Oop. That noise was twisted around the tip a little bit. And I set the hook. No, Oni. No. You've got to wet your mouth first before you grab them. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? That's a pretty little rainbow. Yeah. The softer edge seems to be where they're at right there. Like that. Looks like a little rainbow. Whoop, came off. Long release. I just don't want them to get swept down and hit some rocks when we cross here. Or wherever we cross. I worry about them more than probably I need to. There's one. Right out in the middle of that current. Boy, this is a great feeling rod. Whoa, there's a little jump. Nice rainbow. Come here. No, buddy, you can't have it. Oni. No, 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 no. No, Oni. He was flick the tongue and lick the tail on it. You're a good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. You're okay. Oh, he gets excited. That predator instinct in him. With birds and the fish, he likes chasing things. There's one. Boy, this is beautiful late September day. The fish are biting. Oh, that's a nice rainbow. Oh, came off. That was almost as nice as that first one I caught. But I guess they're biting, why move? There's one. Oh, come on. Get over here. That's a nice rainbow. Come here. Didn't want to stink up that pool. I wanted to fish it. Oni, come. Come here. Oni. Good boy. Get back. Oni. No. No. He wants to get it. No. Hey. Good boy. Oh, that's another little fatty. They're just all healthy. Nice to see a good population of healthy fish here after that flooding last year.